Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Wait, I know what you're thinking. Where can I get some of that sweet, sweet goods merchandise? I mean, you're right, it is very stylish and creatively designed. I'll tell you where. You can go to teespring.com. If you look in the description below, there'll be a link that'll take you to a website where you'll see all of the goods gear that we wear here on the show. Plus, you'll be like the kids say, lit, as they look at your fit. I have no idea what that means. Just go buy a shirt. Okay. Hi guys, we got a chance to finally get in here and talk to you guys about the Mortal Kombat movie that just recently came out. I was able to see it, Carla was able to see it, Manny was able to see it, but for some particular reason he didn't decide to show up today. So me and Carla are going to talk about it, which is probably for the better because he didn't like it.
He was a hater. So right now, if you're watching this, I'm so happy that you're not here. I was actually debating to whether I wanted to make an argument with you about the movie, keep talking about it, but I was like, no, this is a battle that I'm not going to fight about it. So okay, whatever.
So it has been quite a while since we've gotten a live action version of a Mortal Kombat film. Now there have been other iterations of Mortal Kombat, such as recently Mortal Kombat Legacy, Scorpion's Revenge, the animated film that came out, and then the web series that went on for 2 seasons.
I actually didn't watch that.
You did not watch that. Okay, you didn't miss much. The first season was pretty good. They tried to do a real-world take on Mortal Kombat. And in the second season, they decided to
But it was like the same characters and everything?
Yes, but they decided to give more of a real-world origin. This is the Christopher Nolan version of Mortal Kombat.
Oh, wow.
It was more real-world to explain like their powers and their origins and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. And then in season 2, they kind of went off the rails and they wanted to do something more towards the video game. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
Okay.
So since then...
Well, now you got me curious, so thank you for saying that.
But before then, we had 2 other Mortal Kombat movies. Mortal Kombat, the original one, that came out in 1995.
Yeah, which, that one was okay.
And then I believe the other one came out in like 98 or 97. Something close to there. But
it sucked.
That one sucked. So we've all been in anticipation for a true follow-up to the original 1995 film, or a reboot in a sense. And we got that with the 2021 version. So just kind of overall thoughts of the movie. What did you think?
It's so difficult to give you overall thoughts.
Just overall thoughts. We'll get into the details of the movie later on, but just overall thoughts. In a nutshell, how'd you feel about the film?
Okay, I loved it.
Okay.
But it's because, and I told you about this, from the perspective that you are supposed to be watching a movie based on a video game. Like I was not expecting like this much of a big plot or like a bunch of like backstory. Like this is a video game.
Okay.
I was not expecting something like, and I gave you this example, the like Inception. Like this is not a complicated movie. It has to be something simple based on a video game. So having your mind on that, to me, it was an awesome movie.
Okay.
It had great, the effects on it, the special effects were awesome. I was not so happy about certain parts of the music on it. I was expecting that the original song was going to play over and over, but okay, that was just in my head. But I mean, the story with Cole, the new character, and how everybody had a lot of ideas of what was he going to bring to the movie, and I think that nobody really expected what happened with him.
Right.
So I think that was really cool. So overall, I bought it.
Okay.
Like I really liked it.
And I'm glad to hear that. Once again, Manny did not like it, so I would definitely put his little take out there that he did not like it. He should have been here if he wanted to voice why he didn't like it. But since he wasn't here, we'll go talk about how I felt about the movie. And the way I felt about the movie, it was okay. It is now my second favorite Mortal Kombat movie. I feel like the first one was a little bit more fun than this one was.
I don't understand. Like Manny had the same thing about the '95 movie. What is? I watched it. I don't remember a lot of it, but what it was is so big.
Well, the reason why, and we'll continue on my thing, is that one was more fun because it didn't take itself too seriously, and everything were kind of played in the whole sense of like, this is just a video game. It's a simple story. It's based on like, hey, we all go to a tournament, we fight for the fate of the world, yada, yada, yada. These are these characters. We don't need to really explain too much how they got their powers. They just have powers, and these are the ways that we're going to try to defeat them to save the world. And that's what it was. You went in with low expectation, and you kind of walked out saying like, hey, that was fun. I enjoyed that. This one took itself a little bit more seriously, which is kind of what we wanted because we already got the fun ones. We wanted them to do something a little bit differently. But in a nostalgia factor, I enjoy that one because I grew up on that film. So, and I was telling my daughter this. I was like, I grew up on that film, so it's kind of hard to say I'm gonna have a film that's really gonna replace that one if it's not 100 times better than that movie. So this one already came in behind the 8 ball, and you know, it wasn't really gonna win unless it was gonna blow me away. But it did a lot of good things that we didn't get in the original film. We didn't get all the fatalities that we got before.
Yes, that was awesome.
The fight choreography was better in this one, whether Manny wants to say it or not. It definitely was better in this one, even though there were some fights that was not. But it overall was better in this one. And we got to see the serious nature of it was a different take because as Mortal Kombat has evolved through all the different versions of the video games, they've really spent a lot of time on their lore, which we'll get back into in a second. And they tried to make it a little bit more serious and a little bit more darker. So what we did in the first one was based on one video game or 2 video games. And this one had a whole bunch of video games to kind of pull from, which once again we'll get into. So my feeling is that it was a good film. It just was not better than a 1995 film. All right, so just kind of keep it short because I feel like we're kind of dragging on.
Yes, you're
so
doing, but
we're gonna skip the format that we normally do with me and Manny as far as reviewing films because I feel like that format takes too long and I feel like we're already dragged out too much already. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to take it in a way that I used to do before, where we just talked about goods and bads, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll touch on some other things that I know you guys are going to want to point out. So let's talk about all the things that you thought were good about this film.
Okay, first,
only good stuff, no bad stuff.
Yes, no bad.
Right.
Okay, so my favorite thing or my favorite character. Can I start with my favorite character?
Your favorite character.
Okay.
I want to start the clock now.
Okay.
We don't
Okay, favorite character was Kung Lao.
Okay.
Like, he was a badass in this movie.
Right.
And I was not expecting it that much because usually, and in previous movies and in the stories that we have seen in the video game, the attention usually has gone at some point to Liu Kang, and it was not the case. Sorry, I'm deviating. But he was a badass. His whole outfit was so, it adheres so much to the video game. His hat didn't look like stupid. At some point, I thought that it was going to be, but it was not. It added more power to his whole character.
No, I mean, it was historic. It was okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Keep going.
Right? So I'm like, it was really good. So he was my favorite one.
Okay.
I think that in terms, another surprise of mine that I found like extremely funny was, guess what?
Kano?
Yes.
Okay.
Kano was so funny. Like, he's a jerk and an ass in the video game, and like the fact that they were able like to bring that, and some of the moves that he has when he opened the beer with his mouth and he spits and stuff like that, those small things of the character that are so into when he's in the video game, and he was able to project that. So I think that was really cool about that guy.
Okay.
Which I don't remember the name of it, but he doesn't look like Kano at all without the costume.
Nah, not at all. And once again, Manny is here. He would normally keep track of all the actors who played in it. I don't do that. So he's Kano.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what matters here. Then I really liked the fatalities and how they were able, it was not just one or two or random, like they thought about, it seems that they thought about it, and they really like tried to put as much as you can to it. They didn't look like cheesy to me at all.
No. They did spend a lot of time
so
on actually trying to make them as accurate to the video games as we've seen before, and tried to do the more iconic ones, which we're going to get into fatalities a little bit later. But what else did you like about this?
So I like that one. I like that it was not cheesy. I mean, it had his points in some of the moments of the movie, but the fatalities were not. I think that the storyline had to be simple. I really like that about it. It really focused on what we love about the game. So it was not so complicated, and I think that for somebody who has not necessarily has played the video game,
okay,
it will be not so difficult to understand certain things or read about it behind. I liked how they put up Sub-Zero. I hate him. I have always hated his character over and over and over. Okay. And this movie just brought that sentiment more on it. I hate him. But it was my character that I love to hate. Because the fact that and the effects that he had on it, when he was walking into to the first time that he met Cole, that he was on the street and he like brought all of the ice.
Yeah, froze the water vapor in the air. And
yes, that was super cool. So I think that I really like that. The Sonya character, in terms of her looks, to me looked really like her.
Yeah, she resembled a lot of Carrie Hoskins.
Right?
Yeah, from the original digitized version of the game. She looked a lot like her. So maybe that's what they went for in the casting and the design of her character for the movie. But yeah, no, I agree.
So that for her, and especially the outfits too. They did not, and bringing back what I was saying with Kung Lao, none of the outfits, except for one, but you said no bad things here. 90% of the costumes and everything were so well adapted to the movie. They didn't look cheesy. They didn't look like over the top. They look exactly how they were. And that to me was really cool too.
Okay, so those are your top favorites of the film.
I have more, and probably I will say, but yes. I mean, I'm trying.
We're probably gonna touch on them later in other topics that we're gonna get into. We're trying to not make the view take as long as the movie took, so we're gonna try to keep it as concise as possible. A lot of what you said is absolutely how I feel about things. My bigger ones were I put Sub-Zero more at the top because I liked how they used his powers overall. We got to see more of what it's almost kind of how overpowered Sub-Zero is. And when somebody actually has an imagination of what to do with his powers, we can really see how he can be a threat. So I really love that. Like you said, Kano's humor. I've thought Kano's always been funny in the video games, and that's his little jerkish nature is what's funny about him. And I love how the character kind of ran with the role, and he became kind of like scene stealer whenever he was present. I did appreciate the opening fight. I love how they tried to set up some of the backstory between Sub-Zero and Scorpion. We did get to see something like that in Scorpion's Revenge in the animated form, so it was great to kind of see it in live action. And also too, the final fight at the end between them two, because this is a spoiler review. I don't know if I put that little thing up, but if I did, it's up now. The final fight between them two was an amazing fight. Between seeing now that they're equally matched, how they would actually fight off, almost kind of like a video game. So it was really cool, especially if you played Mortal Kombat 11.
That is what you were looking for from watching the trailer. I think that from watching the trailer, at least for me, what I was really looking forward to was that particular fight scene.
Yeah, I know. I just thought there would be more of it. I thought maybe it was going to continue more in the movie, but we're not on bats right now. So let's go ahead and get on bats, because I know we keep kind of teasing what we didn't like in the film. So let's go ahead and talk about the things that you did not like with the film.
Okay. I was not so, maybe not necessarily bad, but I was not so impressed with the character of Liu Kang.
Okay.
For me, I don't like him. I don't usually play with him, but he's a strong character. He's one of the OGs of the game. So for me, I think that he looked weak a little bit in the story.
He's wearing baggy clothes.
I mean, yes. And again, going back to the joke about looking like MC Hammer, dude, that was so true. So, okay, so that was not, it's something, his whole look was not okay. For some reason, I don't know why, there were several scenes and I pay attention to it. He has, the thing that he has on it, that is part of the costume that he has.
Yeah, like a little sash thing.
Yes, he constantly, when he walks, like puts it back. Like it bothers him when he walks.
Have you ever walked with a sash on?
Yes. But he's not wearing it to his feet.
Well,
so
maybe he's never walked with one on and it was really bothering him as he walked.
Well, but okay, so that is a bad thing.
They
about
should
the
have spent a
character.
couple of days. They teach him how to walk with
getting used to the thing. So you can see him walking and do this like several times. So and that bothered me. I was not so impressed with him, and he looked weak overall. He had like an overall admiration to Kung Lao, which I think it was cool, but it made him look like he was not powerful or as powerful as he is. And I think that he is indeed.
Okay.
So I was not like so fan of that. I didn't like the role of Raiden. I think that he barely made something out of the film. I don't think that his role was so necessary of the things that he like actually like did throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, because Raiden's been a big part of Mortal Kombat through all the games, not even including the 1995 movie or Annihilation, since we have to actually reference that. The movies kind of made him a big thing, but it wasn't like he wasn't a big thing in the video games. He's always kind of been the quasi leader, even though we look at Liu Kang as kind of like the chosen one. Raiden has always kind of led and put the team together, and this one is just kind of like he was just sitting in the background.
Exactly, and these two, now that you're calling again Liu Kang, like these two, like
so they were made to give a back seat. The director had an idea of who he wanted to put a focus on in this movie. And it wasn't them two, but we'll get to that character in a minute. So what else didn't you like?
I liked the fight with Scorpion and Sub-Zero at the end. What I was not so happy about, but it's because it's my hate to Sub-Zero, is that at the end Scorpion needed Cole to fight him. Like and to defeat him at the end, they had their moment together, that they're one-on-one. But I mean, Cole had to do something with it, and I was not so happy about it because, again, like to me, Scorpion is so strong and he has so many things that I didn't like the fact that he needed him in order to defeat him. So I don't know.
It's real gray on that need portion of it, but what else did we say is bad?
Okay, so I don't know about that. There was this character Nitara that, I mean, she barely made something out of the story. I think their whole point of bringing her was to do the flawless victory to Kung Lao, and that's it. Because she doesn't have like any type of dialogue or like participation throughout.
I mean, did you feel like, are you familiar with Nitara?
A little bit,
okay,
maybe
so
not so
Nitara
much.
Is back from Deadly Alliance, if I'm not mistaken, either Deadly Alliance or Armageddon. I'm going to say Deadly Alliance more, and you guys can fact check me in the comments. I don't really care. But because Nitara's been in like one video game, maybe two. She's never been a popular character, so there were characters that were brought into this game to be fodder for people to kill. We needed to see fatalities, and they couldn't just kill all of our main characters because some of those characters kind of transition over to other versions of the game, and if they're looking to do sequels and they're going to want to bring those back, Kano was probably one of the ones. But with that being said, there had to be people that had to die, so they had to kind of dig from the not obscure characters, but the characters that people don't care about as much. Let's go ahead and talk about those real quick. No, let's not do it. Let me get my badge real quick. All right, so because I'm not going to touch about all the stuff that you went over. I'm just going to go to the things that you didn't go over. One is there was a lot of missing backstory. Now, I didn't expect this movie to be 3 hours long, but I did expect certain characters to get some type of shine on their backstory. I expected Liu Kang, like you said, to get more to have more of a point, and I didn't need a backstory for Raiden, but I did kind of need one for Liu Kang. They gave us a backstory for Kung Lao, but not really one for Liu Kang. Sonya and Jax, they kind of gave us the high notes of some things that may have been going on in their origin story, but they really didn't cover a lot of the motivations from the video game of why they even ended up in a tournament. I know they maybe wanted to streamline it, but I kind of felt cheated on that. Like you said, the Raiden thing, Shang Tsung, he was just a person in a robe. He did nothing.
Yeah.
Saw the fatality, but we'll get to that. Those are probably my biggest misses with the movie.
What about the backstory for Kano? And how come he ended up there with Sonya?
That's part of the Jax and the Sonya backstory, because they're all three of them supposed to be tied together, which they tried to tie them together, but they really kind of glossed over a lot with it, and I felt like I got cheated on that. All right, so those outside of everything that you already said were I mean, his baggy clothes and the MC Hammer pants over fine. It didn't really bother me that much. Though Liu Kang's always been shirtless. They had him take off his shirt one time and then he just quickly put it back on. And I was like, this character's supposed to be all the time shirtless.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird with that. But anyway.
He looked really short compared to the rest of the cast. So maybe that's why also he didn't, I don't know.
So there were a bunch of characters in here that you kind of recently touched on that were just fodder for fatalities. And we're going to go in this as will help me transition over to something else. We had Nitara, we had Cabal, and we had Reiko.
Yeah.
All of these characters, somewhat important in the lore of Mortal Kombat, but not big enough.
Hey, but big surprise to me, Cabal. Cabal to me was a big surprise.
Okay, so that was my thing. I was gonna say about how did you feel about the characters that? I mean, did you want to see other characters that they brought in here? So they brought these three. Would you have preferred somebody else to take their place to eventually die in this film?
Well, it's just like, I mean, and we talk about this, like, for example, there was a really one that it was missing, and it was Kitana. Because
definitely, Kitana was missing.
She is one of the main characters of the whole story. And they even brought Mileena, so it felt weird to the fact that she was not there.
That was one of the things I put on my
on your
bats because
okay.
they brought Mileena and they didn't bring in Kitana. So.
And they didn't even mention her, or they didn't even like talk about her.
I assume that's what they wanted you for Mortal Kombat 2, since we did get the references to Shao Kahn, and we'll go over the Easter eggs in a minute. So I assumed that maybe saving her for that. I did look it up. I could not find the casting for Kitana, even though I feel this is that Berenstain moment.
Yeah.
The versus Berenstain. I was like, I swear to God, it's always been Berenstain, but it's Berenstain. I swear to God, they had cast Kitana, and I could not find it. I was gonna put it up, but I could not find the casting for it. So was there anybody else besides Kitana that you thought maybe was missing from this? Because we trying to think, who else did we not truly get that was in Mortal Kombat 1?
My favorite character, but again, she doesn't bring too much to the story. How they wanted to put it in this film, I was really looking forward to see Sindel because that
would have been great, but once again, we would have had to have Kitana, would have had to have Shao Kahn.
He would have brought a lot of other things, but I was really looking forward to see her because I was not so happy to the actress that played her in the previous movie.
I think that they just had a lot of bad casting in that movie.
I didn't like that at all. So I was really hoping that they could do a redo of her right now. Right. For that, that was okay. For Reptile, I wanted to see him instead of the how they play it in the movie.
So in the video games, they reference that his race of reptilian beings, or the Sizod, I believe is what they're called. He is kind of like trying to help them get their freedom from they've kind of been enslaved in our world. So we can kind of say that this one that was killed by Kano was not truly Reptile, but just somebody of his race. So we may get him again in a different iteration, because I know a lot of people were upset at the fact that Reptile did not wear his ninja outfit, which they have never done in live action. I don't know why you guys are upset about that. They've never done it in live action. I don't know why you're expecting them to do it here. But maybe we might, they did in the first Mortal Kombat, but he quickly, he was a reptile first, and he only got that form when he basically got taken over by this other, but you guys saw the movie.
Okay.
All right, so those were the ones that you were missing. You wanted more of a true Reptile, and you wanted Kitana to be there.
To me, that was the whole miss, Kitana.
Okay. All right, so that's going to bring us on to, because these people that they did give us all died. Except maybe Kano. Maybe Kano did not die. So let's go ahead and talk about how they died with fatalities.
Oh my God! I really enjoyed that part of it. To me, of course, my favorite again was the Kung Lao one, but it's because it didn't look cheesy. It looked so real when he put out the hat, and I was already expecting it. When he threw it away and put it in the ground, I was like, oh my God, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. It didn't happen. So that to me, that was really cool. The whole they were type of not necessarily the fatality, but really moves that they were so into the whole all of the characters. So for example,
okay, but we're on fatalities.
Okay.
We're on fatalities.
Okay.
Stay on track here. Stay on target. Stay on target. So
Sorry,
you talked about the Kung Lao,
Yeah.
the hat split. We also got, I guess let's go down from importance. We also got Shang Tsung's Soul Steal.
Oh yeah.
That was great.
Okay.
The only thing he did in the whole show and the whole movie.
The thing is that I was not so happy about it because again, like I was so sad about Kung Lao and not necessarily see him in the next following movie. So maybe they are going to bring him back. I don't know. But that looked cool.
I love how they kept it game accurate. He picked him up and then took the soul.
Yeah.
That was, and he actually got to say, "Your soul is mine." So that was a great thing with that one. The other thing was, like I said, we're at least my importance. Liu Kang's dragon fatality.
Yes.
I thought that was really cool, and it seemed overpowered. And it seemed like Liu Kang could have just done that in one Mortal Kombat. Didn't understand why he only got to use it once.
But the thing is that it's the same that we were talking about. Like, at some point, like he made it look that he was also looking for his Arcana.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that he was also like trying to find his power. So again,
And we're gonna talk about that Arcana thing when we get to, because we talked about goods and bads. We're gonna talk about the meh. So next fatality on here, we got Jack's head smash.
that one looked good.
I thought that was really cool. I did not think that they were gonna do it. I thought maybe they were gonna do maybe the ground slam where he picks you up and he slams you down.
But that would have been more difficult, like to show it.
Yeah, I guess that probably would have been more difficult, or maybe something that's like in Mortal Kombat
It would be
11
more
about him
real.
like punching through you or something.
Yeah.
But it's cool that they kind of kept something that was more iconic to Jax. The other one was Kano's heart rip on.
That one, so cool.
I didn't like it.
Why? That one, to me, that one was so cool. Especially when he raps it and he said Kano wings. That one, to me, that was so. Oh my God, why?
I mean, because he didn't even have his strength at that point.
Exactly.
And it's like, how is he able to rip his push his arm through? I mean, we're saying like it's a soft bone reptile or something like. How was he able to put his hand through and pull a heart? And it's a reptile. Why did it have a heart there? Why was his heart right there? I mean, yes, I'm overanalyzing it, but yeah, I kind of walked away. I was like, nah, I'm too big of a Kano fan, and maybe that's why I looked into it. Other one that we had on here was Sonya's ring fatality.
That one, oh my God, I can see it already in your face. Okay, I don't know if what you're trying to say is that maybe she did not show up her powers like too much, or it was just one time. But I think that again, it didn't look too much of like over the top to make it cheesy.
All right, so how long have you been playing Mortal Kombat?
I don't know. I'm 30, about to be 34.
Okay.
I remember playing this since I was like maybe like 11.
All right. What is Sonya's most iconic fatality?
Oh, I know.
If we're gonna stick to people's most iconic things, the ring fatality is not the most iconic thing for Sonya. It's the kiss of death.
Yes.
It is that. So if we're gonna do that, so that's why when I was like, oh, they're gonna let her do the rings. That's what you're gonna go with.
But
that's what you're gonna go with. Though done well for the rings, I guess.
It was.
I would have preferred that they had done the kiss of death, but
You know what? I think that she could have done it to Kano, but if in that moment, like she didn't have the Arcana yet, that's why she. Okay.
We're gonna get to Arcana. Last fatality, and why is it at my end? Because I felt like it took a little bit more to talk about.
That
this
is
thing
how
hates
upset-
me.
Yes.
It took a little bit more to talk about. Not that it's the worst one on here, but like I said, we figured we'd talk about this one, the longest one, and that was the Toasty from Scorpion.
The Scorpion. Yes.
How do you feel like they pulled that off? Now, that one seems like that would probably be the harder one to do because you have to address the skull aspect of it, the flame, and then having him being burnt up. In the video games, he's burnt to a skeleton.
Yeah.
In the video game, Scorpion reveals his whole skull face, and then the whole blades itself.
And you can still see it a little bit. Like they tease you.
Yeah, so
with
just go ahead and tell me your thoughts on it.
Okay, they tease you with it. I mean, what I liked it. I was wishing to look more burn and toast of Sub-Zero.
Yeah, we kind of wanted him to be a crisp.
Yes, like to
It just
me,
looked like
he barely had like like a bronze type of look of it.
I mean, it kind of looks like maybe he tanned too long.
Right?
Somebody set his clothes on fire, but they quickly put him out.
Right? Like, there were like some ashes on it,
Right.
but I think that there were more ashes to actually how he looked. So, to me, I think that him as a Scorpion doing it was cool. The effect that we are used to see or we were expected to see didn't happen, but I appreciate the fact that they did it, like you said, because I think that it's difficult to pull it up.
Yeah, so and I'm gonna go with the fact that, I mean, there was only so many ways they could have done it. Even though the original one did it fully, they had him pull his face off and refill the skull and shoot the fire.
How did it look compared to this one?
It was 1995.
Yes.
That was the top of the line of CGI graphics
my
right now.
God,
We
but-
can't be comparing 95 graphics in 2021.
Yeah, but I mean,
in
it's still.
2021. But in that movie, they actually went as close to video game as they possibly could go. This one, they kind of played around with it, and I guess they just didn't want to cross that line of him actually pulling up his face.
Yeah.
Even though they did give us the shadow of it
Yeah.
at the end, where we could see like an image of the skull on top of his face. I really wish that maybe it had been a little bit more like they did in the original film and just kind of sold out on it. I'd have been fine with it because, look, we already explained that he went to hell, and we didn't explain why he went to hell and what happened in hell. It almost felt like the Scorpion Revenge movie needed to be a prequel before you watch this one to kind of understand what happened. And that was one of my thoughts I was going to mention in a later portion. All right, so that's going to take care of fatalities. I don't think I forgot any, but that'll take care of fatalities. So let's go ahead to the meh portion of this movie. What are the things you were just kind of okay with? What you think maybe they could have done better, or things that maybe you could. It doesn't have to be bad things. It doesn't have to be good things, but things that maybe you could have saw a change or maybe wasn't needed.
I think that, I mean, Raiden role, it was
All right,
to
so
me, he
you
was
touched
like,
on it.
nah.
Okay.
Reiko's role also was like,
Yeah, he was fodder, like I said, for we had to kill people, right? So people had to die.
He was there, so
All right.
The whole thing with
Like you did mention the Melina thing. Melina wasn't necessary to be there.
No,
I
and
wish
the
they could have
fact
done
that-
something better with
yes,
that.
they could have. I mean, if they wanted to bring somebody, like you said, to kill, they could have brought somebody else, and not necessarily her. That her story, in order for you to understand what's going on with her, you need Kitana and other stuff. So
They could have brought Tanya. They could have brought a whole bunch of other characters. Devora. I mean, it's like we don't need Devora. They could have brought a whole bunch of other people in.
like other people that they're not necessarily so into it. So
All right. So let's. One of my mad things was the Arcanas. It was a way for them to explain the powers of everybody in it, but I don't know if I was satisfied with the explanation. I didn't hate it, but I'm just like,
Okay.
How did you feel about the Arcanas? Because I know we kept trying to touch on it. Let's go ahead and get into your thoughts of the Arcanas.
I kind of like understand what happened, but then again, to me, goes back to Raiden. Like he has this whole temple for them to kind of like bring it out and do it. And what did he was sleeping the whole time. He was not doing anything about it.
You know, he's a Thunder God. Thunder Gods need rest.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know. That to me was a little bit weird. Again, it looked like Liu Kang was looking for his. So I don't know. I was not so much impressed about like having that birthmark and like what happened to them.
Okay. Touching on that temple thing, we have a scene where they're in the temple and they have to learn how to fight and try to draw out their arcanas. Not one montage. I mean, have they not seen an 80s film? Did they not watch any type of action film in the 80s through the 90s? You always have to do a montage. We don't have to sit there and watch every fight scene. You do a montage and you slowly show them slowly getting better, and then that's how you sell us on it. And they just did they did one really bad leg sweep, which is kind of an Easter egg to the video game with Liu Kang and Kano.
Did he do that? Like, the foot thing that you always hate when somebody does that to you.
God, I hate that.
Yes.
And it was a big thing in the original Mortal Kombat. All right, so that is going to bring us to Cole Young himself. Let's go ahead and get to that. I figured I'd save him for the final portions of this review. Cole Young, a new character to the Mortal Kombat franchise and also to live action Mortal Kombat, obviously. Being played by Louis Tan, that's the only actor I do know off the top of my head, because he has been in a couple things I've seen before. My thoughts and things I've said on social media and all the other podcast things that we've done on here. I thought he would end up being Johnny Cage, and I thought they were lying to us, but I was wrong. We're not gonna get to that yet. We're gonna get to that when we talk about Easter eggs. So overall, how did you feel about what they gave us in Cole Young and the new character to Mortal Kombat lore now?
I think that they barely brush it to the powers. I don't think that you have seen entirely what he can actually do.
Okay.
I think that it was just him. Hopefully this is going to be a really good character development if they're going to continue to work on the movies. And I don't care if you said that I should not be saying this, but I think that maybe the fact that he is the one going to find Johnny Cage, I think that Johnny Cage may be some type of helping train him or develop some of the power. I don't know, whatever. But I think that, I'm expecting more of it. I think that they just barely gave us some of the powers that he had with the blades that he had here and something like that. I think that his whole costume was not necessarily the one that we saw. It was just the armor and that's it. I think that it's going to bring more out of it eventually, if they continue to do the movies. I like the fact that they play with my emotions throughout the entire movie, because I had so many expectations and ideas of what was he going to do. At some point, I thought that he was going to be Sub-Zero, that Sub-Zero was going to be in him, or that some type of something like that. Or he was an actual, really close descent of him, not like over years and years and years. I don't know, they play with my emotions through the entire time. And I like that. I think that the fact that they got me wondering what was going to happen with him, I kind of liked it.
Okay. So overall thoughts of Cole Young, you were kind of happy with the character?
I'm happy. I'm not super happy about it. I think that they could have bring something else, especially being a new character. But I was okay with it.
Okay, I agree with that last point when you said that if you're going to introduce a new character, I figured that they would do something really to kind of wow us, to make us really interested in that character. Yeah. I think they introduced a new character for its purpose, which we kind of knew, was to be the eyes of the audience. For somebody to go and ask the questions that we have sitting there in front of our television or in the movie theater, to all the questions that we have about what's going on screen, they get to ask those questions. What I did not like with him is that outside of him asking those questions, there was nothing. I don't believe he had any type of arc outside of finding that stupid Arcana, which he gets at the very end. I don't think he grew as a person. He didn't learn anything. He just asked some questions that we as the audience had, and then he got a major fight. Yeah. He got a major fight scene and won, and I was really upset about that because I felt out of anybody to have that fight scene, it should not have been him.
With Goro?
Yes, and it's it should not have been him. I feel, after I sat and I digested this and I thought about it for a while, the way they mistreated Liu Kang in this film, Cole's character all of that could have been given to Liu Kang. And I know you guys are going to say, well, damn, Terrence, that's kind of like the 1995 version where Liu Kang comes back and he's kind of trying to figure out what's going on. But you know what? It worked in that one. And would have worked in this too. And it didn't have to do the whole Scorpion bloodline. Maybe they just could have said Raiden called on Scorpion for that particular fight because he knew they needed some help or something like that. Or who cares? Liu Kang just got fired. Maybe somehow his fire can contact Scorpion in hell. I really don't care. But I felt like it would have gave more of a point to Liu Kang, and still would have covered the eyes of the audience thing to give all of that dialogue to Liu Kang, and then just got rid of Cole, and they did not need to bring that character. I thought about the Johnny Cage thing, where I was talking about, I was upset that Johnny Cage was not in this film, but when you look at the character between Kano, and he was the comic relief of this film, you can't have two wisecracking people on screen at the same time. So it makes sense why they wouldn't include Johnny Cage in this one, but damn, there was a big Johnny Cage hole that was left in this movie, and I didn't think Cole helped out with it, and how they treated Liu Kang didn't help out with it, so I'm not really a big fan of Cole. Big fan of Louis Tan. I think he did a great job in his acting on screen. I just don't like what they did with this particular character of Cole Young.
You brought out a really good point about, and to me, it's what it makes me fall in love with a movie. Like, again, character development. There was no development in him. He already was a good man that loved his family, that wanted to protect them, that he like had a good relationship with his daughter. Like, he didn't learn anything new about it. It's not the fact that
he was already these things.
Yes.
The only thing is that he got a power and he was able to protect them at the end.
Yeah.
And then that nobody even realized that. I don't think anybody even know that he even had that fight.
Yeah.
He just kind of got back there and he was like, hey, I got my Arcana. And they were
that's
like,
it.
yeah, good job for you. And he was like, I had to kill like this four-armed beast thing that you guys didn't see me do.
That only Shang Tsung knew about it, because when he came back, he said like, oh, impossible. But nobody else knew
I
that
almost kind of feel
happened.
like they rewrote that to give him that, because there's like somebody was sitting there thinking and said, hey, you know, Cole didn't fight anybody or do anything. Well, have him be the one that beat Goro. Okay. I would have rather him beat Cabal. I would have rather him beat anybody else, a Reiko.
Or the reptile.
Yeah,
like,
a reptile. Somebody else, but not
Goro.
not Goro.
Yes.
That really bothered me in that sense of it. All right, so we're going to push on, because I can go on for days about how I didn't like what they did with the Cole Young character. We're going to talk about Easter eggs, because I know you guys are going to put in the comments about all the things that was mentioned in the movie that we didn't quite talk about in the review. So let's go ahead and mention them now.
Okay.
And we're going to kind of fly through these.
I read them already.
All right, so we got
familiar with
Eddie
them.
Tobias being mentioned at the
Yes.
very beginning. Cole Young wins the championship from him, and that's obviously for Ed Boon and John Tobias. What is it? The Mayan god that they're showing there looks like Kotal Khan, right?
Oh, yeah.
From the later Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
I believe Mortal Kombat 10, but not 9. The Black Dragons reference from Cabal
Yes,
and
from
Kano's
Kano.
relationship. Even though they kind of glossed over their relationship as far as the video games go. Boraicho is mentioned by Liu Kang as one of the masters. And I was like, oh, that'd have been cool if they showed him. Even a picture would have been great. Like a picture of a shrine of Boraicho would have been awesome. I would have loved to see the live action interpretation of him. Katana's fan was seen in that little walkway.
But again, like, why show us that if they are not going to even mention her?
Don't know. I mean, maybe she was visiting one day and left it over. You know,
Yes.
that means that a girl really likes you if she leaves something at your place.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Other things that were shown in there. A picture of the great Kung Lao. Which I don't think we've ever seen an interpretation of him, so we got to see a picture of him. He's always referenced when we talk about Kung Lao. The great Kung Lao is one of the last people who won a Mortal Kombat, so we got to see a picture of it. Kano tries to steal the dragon medallion, which I thought was cool,
funny.
and I was like,
And they mention it, yeah.
And it's like, where's Raiden at right now? Because he can go back in time with that.
Okay.
Argus and Delia are shown on the mural. Remember, I was like freaking out trying to remember who they were. They are from Mortal Kombat Armageddon.
Okay.
And they're the parents of Taven and Daigon, I think, something like that.
Okay.
All right, but it's a deep cut for Mortal Kombat. So those were the ones. I mean, outside of the sweep and some small things like the get over here and all the little references they say out loud when they're talking about like moves and fatalities. Those were probably some of the biggest Easter eggs. Did you see any more that I didn't think of right now?
No, I just wanted to mention, and I don't know if you're going to talk about it.
Okay.
Again, like the moves that we love about the characters. One of the ones that I really enjoyed watching was the ice wall.
Yes.
When they threw Scorpion to it, I think that one looked really good. The other one was I was thinking about it and I forgot. It may come back to me later.
When he cuts him, the blood flies in the air and he freezes the blood and uses it as a dagger and stabs him. Basically, how you could stab with your own blood?
I know, but that was so cool.
One thing I kind of forgot, and I don't know how I glossed over it, but we got a fourth telling of how Jax loses his arms. Because they have the whole thing where Baraka cuts him off. They have the thing where Goro pulls him off. They have the thing where Ermac telekinetically destroys him. So this time Sub-Zero does it. man of many backstories. He's
wait. And I don't know if before we forget, in case that you didn't think about it, what about the theory that Sub-Zero is going to turn into
Noob Saibot?
Noob Saibot.
That was the other thing. Even though he burnt him to a crisp, his outfit that he wore up under all of his armor was jet black, and then he got burned, which then makes him look even more blacker.
More black.
So yeah, as part of the lore, he dies. His brother becomes the new leader of the Lin Kuei and takes on the Sub-Zero mantle. Scorpion then vows to protect him because he killed his brother. And Noob Saibot comes back as this netherworld demon, kind of like ghostly figure. So that makes me roll into my final thing for today. What do you expect out of Mortal Kombat 2? Because this is probably going to get a sequel.
Yes, so I'm hoping to see Kitana. I'm hoping they mentioned that a bunch of the champions from Earth have been killed before. So I'm kind of like still thinking who are going to be, or which are going to bring in terms of the champions of Earth.
Right.
I'm hoping to see again, more of the characters that we love. I'm hoping that they can develop more of the story of Cole. I'm really, I was not so impressed about his powers, especially what you said, like this guy and the powers that he got, and he was able to defeat Goro.
He got a suit of armor, or a chest plate of armor that looked like the braid that was on his wrist, the little friendship braid.
Yeah.
It was a friendship braid of armor.
I mean, so to me, that was like, okay. They, in terms of the funny and like type of like that type of like humor, so they brought up the bar really high in how they develop Kano. So now I have the bar really high if that is going to happen with Johnny Cage.
Oh God, they got to do a really good casting for Johnny Cage. My fan cast is Ryan Reynolds, but I don't know if their budget can afford that. They did a lot of people lesser known, like B and C level, like movie stars for this.
Yes.
I don't know if they could afford Johnny Cage for this, but whoever they get, Kano set the bar for you really, really high.
Really
it's got to be somebody who really can kind of just go with that particular role. Things that I want to see in here, I kind of want to see. Obviously, we're gonna get Shao Kahn, we're gonna get Sindel, we're gonna get Katana. Those are things. We're probably gonna get Kano back because she stabbed him in the eye with the gnome. Even though he gets the laser before he gets the cybernetic implants, which doesn't make sense. But okay, they could have had him learn how to do the little Dragon Ball thing to fly. It would have been stupid, but at least that would have made more sense to me. So he's probably gonna come back. I kind of want to see if they're gonna tackle like Quan Chi. I want to see if Reptile's gonna come back. I want to see, because in the video game, Shang Tsung got younger. In the sequel, will they make him younger in the sequel? And then make him an actual fighter?
A better fighter, yeah.
So those are the things I kind of had on my head as far as Mortal Kombat 2, whenever that decides to drop. Hopefully there won't be another pandemic and we won't have to wait a lifetime to get this movie to come out. Yeah, God bless. It seemed like this movie took forever to come out. So with that being said, Carla, you want to go ahead and take us home?
Oh my God, okay.
Yes.
Oh no, I forgot. So if this is the first time
There
that
you go.
have watched this, make sure that you subscribe. There's a bunch of other stuff that we talk about during the show, and you can get like a whole series of different videos for it. Make sure that you purchase our shirts, which I'm not wearing, but he is, and I was supposed to bring it and I forgot. We have shirts and mugs. And also, thank you for the people who follow us in Patreon, that you usually put the names here, and one of them is me. And I think that's it.
All right, that was great. You did a good job there. So for Manny, who's probably going to write so much in the comments because I'm sure he has a bunch to say, and Art and Aspen, who couldn't be with us today, I'm Terrence.
And I'm Carla.
You guys take care.
Guys, you're still with us? Great. I know it's the end of the year, and I know you guys are in the holiday spirit, the spirit of giving, right? So we're asking you to give us money. So if you look down below, you'll see where it says patreon.com/thegoods. Right there is if you have an excess amount of cash laying around. If you have not bought enough Christmas presents and you're wondering, who else can I bring joy to this year? Us. That's who you can bring joy to. Have you ever looked at us and you're like, man, they should get a better camera? You're right, because we don't have enough money to. You can help us do that. Patreon.com/thegoods. Help us out. We'd appreciate it. And you can be a part of the goods yourself.